Hello friends, welcome to Drishti YouTube. Friends, in this video we shall talk about a very important and engaging topic which concerns every one of us. That what did the PM say recently about the import of the gold, about the travel, etc. And what are the causes of that PM's urge to the people, and what are the consequences will be seen in this video in detail. Let's begin. Friends, we shall see the video, the lecture in different phases. Let's start with the background. We are going to see the background of the whole event, that what is going around the world. You see, there has been tension between the US, Israel on one side and Iran on the other side for many times. Recently in say Feb and March month, what happened was US and Israel bombed Iran. And the idea was to dismantle the Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran, in the retaliation, attacked the US bases around the Gulf region, like in the Qatar, in the UAE, and in the Saudi Arab. Iran is also holding the control on the Strait of Hormuz, and it has blocked the Strait of Hormuz, which is the lifeline of any energy supply in the South Asia as well as Southeast Asia. See, what happens is, from the Strait of Hormuz, we see 20 million barrels of oil passes every day. India imports nearly 5.6 billion barrels per day to meet the requirements. Nearly 1/4 of the oil imports that oil that passes from the Strait of Hormuz, we import at least 1/4 of that. After the Iranian attack on the US bases and after the Iranian blocking of the passage route, what we saw was there was a disruption in the oil supplies across the world, particularly in Asia and Southeast Asia. This led to the increase in the crude oil prices. What happened was, the 1 barrel of the crude oil, which was before the war priced at nearly $72 per barrel, rose to $105 per barrel after the war began. Now, what happens with this to the India's economy? Let's have a look. Friends, when the war began, this led to the disruption of oil supplies. This led to increase in the crude oil prices. And this led to the costly imports by the Indian refiners like Reliance, like the other companies who refine the petroleum into the diesel petrol. Now, 1 barrel of the crude oil jumped by nearly 30%, which led to heavy inflation or the tendencies of inflation in the India's economy. Friends, you see, every year, say for the last financial year, we have imported the goods and services worth of $979 billion, out of which the import of the crude was nearly $180 billion. Now, not just the crude oil, we also import the gold in heavy quantities. Last year, we had imported the gold of nearly $72 billion, which makes that the total imports mixing the crude and the gold is crossing $250 billion out of the total imports of $979 billion. So what has happened is, this war led to disruption of oil supplies. Friends, what happens is, when the oil is disrupted, it disrupts the sentiment of the people towards the economy. And when the people felt that the oil is in the short supply, they panicked. In the panic, investors leave the stock market, they shift toward the gold. As a result, what happened was, the gold demand also increased. As a result, gold imports also increased. So what we have is, after the war began, we saw the rise in the imports of the gold as well as the petroleum, and they are the major contributors of the India's import bill. As a result, our forex started declining gradually after the war began. You see, in the last, say, 5 to 6 months, our forex reserves have declined from nearly $722 billion to $700 billion as of now. It means that the war has led to a negative pressure on the India's forex, India's gold prices, India's petroleum, India's inflation. Now, apart from this, see, many Indians, they fly abroad for the studies, for the travel, for the tourism. And last year as well, Indians spent nearly $32 billion outside for the tourism, for the studies purpose. So we have heavy pressures outside the country in, say, foreign spending, in the gold imports, as well as the crude oil imports. Now, this war was expected to stop with the US-Iran ceasefire, but in the last few days, we have seen that the ceasefire may not hold for long and the war may resume. And as a result, we may be in a crisis. If the war prolongs for a longer period, the huge import bill may deplete our forex reserves, making India very prone to a crisis called the balance of payment crisis, which we had in the 1990s. So what the PM said was, PM said that we must take some measures to preserve our forex reserves. He said that the people should at least stop buying gold for the next 1 year so that we may preserve our forex reserves. Now, to cut down on the crude oil imports, he said people should look for working from the home so that the traveling cost and the traveling expenditures are cut down. As a result, many of the people and the companies are trying to shift to the work from home, and many of the ministers from the different state governments have cut down their convoy size to, say, half, so that the unnecessary expenditure on the petroleum is minimized. PM also said that you must avoid any unnecessary foreign travel. You should cut down on the expenditures which is made outside the country. He also urged the farmers and the people to attempt to use the organic fertilizers to reduce the dependence on the natural gas, because that's used to make fertilizers. So the PM urge was to promote the carpooling, to cut down the gold expenditures, gold buying, to work from home. So all of them will lead to reduction in the spending on those items which you import, which lead to the outflow of the foreign currency exchanges. Now, friends, this urge by the Prime Minister to the people has not gone well with everyone in the country. People have panicked and they have led to many consequences, which we'll see in the upcoming part of the video. Friends, what has happened was, after the PM urged people, you see, gold is not just a metal in India. Gold is also an investment option. People buy gold for the investment purposes. When the PM said that we must preserve our forex, it sent a message that we may be in crisis. As a result, the markets responded negatively. You see, in the last 4 months, already the forex and the foreign investors have withdrawn nearly 2 lakh crores from the Indian markets. This has led to the fall in the Indian markets. Many stocks have crashed. After the PM's urge to people, the gold stocks have crashed by 10%. Friends, the airlines industry is facing crisis because the people are not traveling enough. As a result, Indigo and the other companies are facing the deflationary pressures. They are facing the crisis of the, say, passengers and the business. Friends, the agriculture industry and the fertilizer industry is not under the full capacity, and they are also facing the crunch of the raw material. Friends, Indian sentiments have gone little negative. People are thinking that we may return to the pre-COVID and the COVID era. As a result, the spending by the people has cut down, and they will also cut down subsequently because they don't know till when this war will continue. As a result, friends, what will happen is, see, our GDP has been very fastest in the last few years. Now, when the PM has urged people, the consumption will come down. It will lead to the fall in the GDP as well as the growth rates. The international companies have predicted that Indian GDP growth will be a little moderate. They will come down from 6.7% to 6.2% in the upcoming months. So we see a total impact on the various sectors, like the gold sectors have down, demand is down, airlines is down. Agriculture, fertilizer companies will also see a crunch of the low demand from the farmers and the economic aspects. Friends, what should we do in this case? We have to have a short-term as well as a long-term effort to fight this challenge. In the short term, what we can do is we can increase our imports from Russia. Russia has been our old friend and the major supplier of the oil, particularly after the Russia-Ukraine war. So we can take and increase talks with Russia to ensure that the supplies are enough to India of the natural gas and of the petroleum. But friends, in the long term, we have to find alternatives. India seriously requires energy security, because without the energy security, the income security is not there. We should find the ways to develop to the renewables. The solar power, the nuclear power should be our focus, so that we shift our energy to those areas and reduce dependence on the petroleum. Friends, we can also increase the bioenergy, and say explorations may continue in some other areas. Work from home is an option, because now we have a well-connected digital technology. So as far as possible, companies can shift to work from home. As far as the control on the employees is concerned, they can set up systems to make sure that the productivity is intact, even if they work from home. So friends, we need a reform in the economy, that the government should also start cutting on the expenditure. They must cut on the unnecessary travel of the ministers, of the bureaucrats. They must cut on the unnecessary convoys, and they should shift to the renewables, so that the India's energy security is intact. Friends, at the last, we can say that this is an eye-opener. It's not a crisis in India as of now. What PM said was an eye-opener, that people should, as far as, try to cut down on those expenditures which may be avoided. You may avoid on, say, buying gold. You can shift to the gold ETF. You can buy the gold bonds. You can buy the, say, digital gold. Still, you can get the good returns. So you can shift to alternates in the investments. You can shift to, say, alternates in the food production. You can shift to alternates in the work from home. And that's why we can fight the challenge together. And when we do this, so in the next, say, 6 months, we expect that India may return to normalcy, when I hope that the US, Iran will be figured out how to reduce the tensions among themselves. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.